Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Alea Lalis, and this is an episode of the Enchanted Life Salon brought to you on Look Who's Talking Vision. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of something, and let's contemplate the enchantment that is our life. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever and whenever you are. This is Alea Leyland, and I'm joined by Susan Harmon. And today we are going to talk about being charmed. There was a television show that was on back, I don't know, I think it was in the 90s or something, and it was called Charmed, and it was about these three sisters, and they were bewitched, and whenever they put their energy together, amazing things happen, sometimes good and sometimes bad. And I started to look at that because I had heard, I used to travel in some Wiccan circles, and I had heard this comment made about charming things. And it reminded me of that comment. And in actuality, the people that had told me about this act of charming things explained to me that charming, or something that is charmed, is something that is imbibed with a sense of a particular intention. And so if you wanted to charm something, you would set the intention that this thing, whatever it was, would have a particular effect. And then everything that came into the sphere of that thing would be influenced by the intention that you set into it. Well, this goes back to our own understanding of law of attraction and whatnot. And I watched these people charm things that were in their presence, things that they were doing, whether it was a book or a statue or whatever. And I watched people react to this thing that they charmed, and the reaction always followed the intention. It was fascinating. And then later on, I noticed that in my life, I have seen people have particular actions happen in their lives where if they were, if something bad would happen to them, like, maybe their house went into foreclosure or whatever. One girl here in particular, her house went into foreclosure. She couldn't pay it, and then it went up for sale on the auction thing. Well, lo and behold, somebody who didn't even know her came to the auction and bought the house and offered to sell it back to her and let them carry the paper. And I thought, my goodness. And everything about this girl is like that. She will have something bad happen to her, and then she just floats to the top just like cream. And so I looked at that, and I think that is something that we can imbibe in our lives in order to cause us to have a more enchanted experience. And that part of that has to do with setting the intention to be charmed or to have a charmed response to what's going on in our life. What do you think about that, Susan?
Well, I totally agree, and I think part of the charm is the expectation. Your friend has the expectation that something good is going to happen. Do you remember that on 2.5 Men, there was an episode where Charlie lost everything bad was happening, and Alan, who had expectations of things not working out right, went and did the drug experiment, and he was having all the side effects, and Charlie just, was trying to make a hit with this woman and liked the little kid and did this thing, and the ex-husband of the girl he was dating, was a producer of children's music, and he made the little tape, and all of a sudden he's back in the clover again because his expectation is, oh, don't worry, it'll all work out. So that is living a charmed life. We hear this all the time. Oh, he's just charming.
wonder if that, just I'm just having a stream of consciousness moment here, and I'm wondering if, how oftentimes the underprivileged or the disenfranchised will look at people who they term as the 1% or the people that are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. I wonder if those people, the 1%, the silver spoon people, those guys, whoever the heck they are, I wonder if they have set that charmed intention for themselves, and that's why everything just keeps coming up great for them.
Yeah, of course, there's always the appearance of things coming up great for somebody, but people have an expectation. That, I think, is part of it. I think it can be simpler and more complex simultaneously. I was listening to NPR the other day, driving in the car, and they were talking about a town where people had lost their jobs, had this higher percentage of people with disabilities because they had back injuries and they had this because they couldn't work, right? They couldn't work because they couldn't imagine having a job that didn't entail standing on your feet. So if you don't have something in your reality, just like you're saying the 1%, their reality is that they're always going to have everything, so they don't have room for any other reality. If people have the reality that the only way you can get work is by standing on your feet or lifting something or doing that's the only jobs that exist, then you know you can't work if your back isn't working. I mean, it's what is your reality, and I think that has a lot to do with living a charmed life and being able to see things. One thing isn't necessarily better than another. It's how you're reacting to it. Part of the charm is, like we have discussed previously, half full cup, half empty cup, cup full and overflowing. What is your expectation? What are you drawing to yourself? Why do you, some people just walk obliviously through things. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. That's a piece of it. It depends on how you want to access that to have charm.
Yeah, and I guess also it depends on whether or not you even have the tools to realize that you can set intention and that setting that intention will have an effect in your life.
Exactly. Just like that's why I was talking about the people that didn't realize that their jobs existed where you could sit down.
Yeah. Okay, so bearing that in mind and wanting to demonstrate an enchanted life and an enchanted existence, what tools do we use in order to set that kind of intention and to have it outpictured so that people who observe our lives can see that there is a bigger possibility for them? Do you have some things that you use? I know that for myself, I use music. Music is probably a big one, and now that the internet is here, I use a lot of programs, actually like the one that we're making, and other things of that sort, to just kind of just keep pouring in the positive stuff. What about you?
Well, I agree with you, Ilea. I think there's something else that you also use that our audience would appreciate that I think helps people understand an enchanted life: laughter. Laughter is an incredible tool. And go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's a tool, but I think that I don't think that I could laugh unless I felt happy. Does that make sense? Well, I guess so. You can make yourself laugh by watching funny things and finding things that cause you to laugh, huh?
Yes, laughter actually creates laughter. Sometimes just laughing in and of itself is what creates the happiness instead of the happiness, it creates the laughter. I mean, this is one of those things that there was a book I read years ago that said, they say that, well, birds sing to get sex. And this guy was writing it from the position, though, maybe birds are singing because they've had sex. I mean, you see? It made you laugh, right? And then when you laugh, you felt happy. So it's that spiral. It's an upward turning spiral. The more that you can realize that good things are happening in your life instead of, like saying, well, how do you feel? Oh, the day's going okay so far. That means I have an expectation that this good feeling isn't going to last. Another movie I was seeing the other night that I hadn't seen in a long time where there's a line, the guy says, I don't trust happiness, because every time something that's happy, it's good happens in my life, then something comes after that, waiting for the other shoe to drop. So there again, it's expectation. And I think that is, how do you shift people's expectation? I think that's one of the things you're talking about. What is a way to do that? And maybe it's just simply by living. The best teachers teach by doing.
Absolutely. And I noticed for myself, some mornings, I'm not always super happy, at least when I first wake up, but I get happy. But one of the things I noticed, I might wake up one morning and, be feeling a little funky, maybe because I didn't get enough sleep or, whatever. And then maybe I will go on Facebook and I'm kind of looking along and I'm looking at the stuff that's there. And then I go to post whatever it is that I'm going to post for the day, and I post something that's happy, even though at the moment I'm not feeling real bubbly. I'm just kind of trying to make my way to bubbly. And then I post it, and it's a bubbly thing, even though I'm not bubbly at the moment, and I read it, and then I get to feeling bubbly. So I think that's that fake it till you make it thing.
I was very, very depressed one day, and I just can't stay here. I got in the car. And I saw a woman that I knew at the bus stop, and I stopped and offered her a ride, and it really made her day. Thank you for, giving me a ride. And we went and talked, and I listened to what was going on with her, and, made some jokes, made her feel better, gave her a ride. And by doing that, I felt so much better. So sometimes, just doing something, moving yourself out of your comfort zone and doing something nice for someone else actually makes you feel better.
And I guess that's how these programs like AA and whatnot are built. Listeners, if you choose to join this conversation, please call in on 347-994-3985. That's 347-994-3985. Join us, Susan Harmon and Alea Leyland, as we talk about what things contribute to a charmed life.
I do have one other. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go. Okay. One of the things that makes AA and programs like that work is that they don't try to help people fix themselves. They actually encourage people to be a support for other people and to volunteer and to just put themselves out there, to get themselves so busy until they don't think about whatever it is that is their problem. And as such, they end up healing or curing themselves.
Absolutely. And I think that reaching your hand out to somebody else helps you. When I help someone, it helps me. When I'm doing my healing work, I get healed working on someone else. There's another thing, too. I think it's a simple thing that may help our listeners. Equal value. If you don't set one thing above another, this is better than that. That is worse than this. If you realize that everything in your life has equal value, it's different, but it isn't better or worse necessarily. It has a different use, a different thing, but it may be of equal value. Somebody asked me one day, this was when Rachel was in grade school, well, what did you do today? And I said, well, let's see. I went over, I picked up some stuff at the health food store. I went and dropped off things for the play at school this afternoon. I opened an interdimensional gate. I went back over to the school and set everything up, went to the grocery store. And she says, wait a minute. What else did you do? And I went back through the list. And she goes, well, you opened an interdimensional gate? I went, yeah. She said, and you put that in between the school play and the grocery store? And I went, yeah. You asked me what did I do with my day, and that's what I did with my day. Doing something for my child at school was just as valuable as interdimensional gate, and the grocery store told me seriously in my life that was really valuable, for the whole family.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's always chocolate.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, there's the exception to the rule, right? It has much more value.
For those people who have followed me on Facebook, I have to tell you that raw chocolate turtles are like the best thing ever. Because, there's this whole thing about wanting to eat healthy and not eat bad food, whatever we call bad food, and put conscious food into our bodies and whatnot. And then there's chocolate. And for me, that was like this big thing of, oh, my gosh, I want to lead a charmed existence, but I really want some chocolate now. And so the idea of, supporting GMO and all the other stuff that's attached to commercial chocolate, Hershey bars or whatever, it's sort of out there looming in my peripheral vision, even though I'm saying, okay, I'm not going to pay any attention to that. It's still there. And I know that that's not what I want to contribute to. So it's like, okay, how can I contribute to my own desire for chocolate and not contribute to uplifting something that I don't believe in and that I don't want to strengthen. And so learning to make organic raw chocolate turtles has been
and I believe I have suggested that you need to do a book of recipes, because I think that will be very useful for the rest of us who, you come up with these great things. They taste delicious. We all need to be able to share them.
Okay, I'll get on it. I actually have one. It's more of a picture dialogue of different recipes that I've done, and I took pictures of them because, it was like, oh, my God, that's so pretty. I got to take a picture, and then I posted them on Facebook. So any of you who are following me on Facebook, go take a look at my Facebook page and join the Healthy Eatin', HEALTHYEATIN apostrophe. And that has a whole bunch of pictures, a whole bunch of recipes that I have done over the past 3 years. And, yes, I am doing a ebook on raw comfort foods, and it's going to include such things as brownies and chocolate turtles and chocolate stuffed strawberries and, I don't know, blueberry cobbler and other
stuff. You're making me hungry.
Huh?
I said, stop, you're making me hungry.
I know, probably everybody is just like running away from the radio now and going to get food.
Right. But I think that the whole being charmed and charming has to do with a basic attitude of expectation, of expecting good, of having value for all things, to understand that when I make you feel better, I feel better. You know, it's not just the law of attraction. It's also the law of circulation. I mean, you know, what goes around comes around. I mean, if I make you feel better, I feel better. If I feel better, you feel better. I mean, you know, it happens that way. That's the, you know, it's understanding the value of things and of people. You look at the businesses that are succeeding and doing well are the businesses that are valuing their employees and valuing their customers. The ones that are not doing that, they're, you know, it's a whole different energetic. And I think that where we are now in 2013 with the shifting in paradigms and all, that people are looking at what has value, what is our expectation, how do we feel about life and living, and do we want to live a charmed life? And if we want to live a charmed life, what do we do to make that happen?
Yes, and I think one of the big things that we do to make that happen is to decide that, yes, we do want to have a charmed life, and that our life, no matter where it is in this moment, is charmed. Even if it's just that, okay, I just breathed in and I just breathed out.
Exactly.
So it's like,
you start from where you are. That's it.
Yeah, that is charmed. And then, all right, I am able to, like, move my hand and move my fingers. Okay, that's charmed. And if everything that we look at as this is a miracle, that this thing is happening, this is the most wonderful thing, then each successive thing becomes more wonderful. And to set that intention out there, I think from a time when we are feeling good. So if we get a time when we are feeling good, you know, whether it's just because somebody just gave us a birthday present or, you know, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, that in that moment we set the intention that this is the kind of feelings that I want to have all the time. And then later, as you move along in life, you know, other things happen and you don't feel exactly that way, but you've anchored that memory of that feeling. And so you're always able to go back at least to that or something better because you've set that intention. This is that. So that's kind of like charming your life as opposed to charming an object. And it's not that hard, I don't think. I think it's just a matter of saying it. You know, this is what I intend my life to be.
Well, it's like anything. It takes practice. If you want to play the piano, you don't start by playing, you know, the concerto. You start by, you know, one key at a time, and then you practice. So to live a charmed life, you have to practice step by step, day by day. I mean, I just said this to someone on the phone, you know, inch by inch, life's a cinch, you know, yard by yard, life is hard, you know. I mean, if you try to, you can't take it all. You know, years ago when I quit smoking, I couldn't do it for a whole day, one day at a time. A day was too big, but I could handle 15 minutes. Exactly. And I would do that. If I still want a cigarette in 15 minutes, I'll go ahead and smoke it. And I would get busy and do things, and a few hours would go by. And then that urge would come, and I'd like, well, if I still want one in 15 minutes, then I'll smoke it. I'd get busy, and a few more hours would go by. But in my mind, I could handle 15 minutes. I couldn't handle a whole day. So you do these things by what works for you.
Right. And if it's 15 minutes, then it's 15 minutes. If it's 2 minutes, then it's 2 minutes. And eventually it becomes a whole day. And then it becomes 2 days. And then it becomes a week. And then it becomes forever. And it works. So, yeah. And
then it becomes 25 years.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. So I think that if we can look at it as my existence, my life, my experience is enchanted right now. It's enchanted in this moment, and that's all that there is. Because really, that is all that there is. We had a young man here in Hawaii who everyone just felt that he was wonderful and loved him dearly. And I don't know, he was driving down the road on his moped and something happened, and he is now flying with the angels. But he was a happy-go-lucky, joyous person, and so every moment he lived completely. And so that's all we can actually focus on is this is the moment, and this moment is complete, and this moment is joyful.
Yes. And I find another good tool for having a joyful life is not to be judging how other people need to live theirs.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because that's a sticky wicket, you know.
Well, and you know, if we really pay attention, taking care of our own life is a handful. It takes all of our time. And if in taking care of our own life, other people are blessed in our presence, then we have done a marvelous job.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, it's like, you know, when people say, oh, you do blah, 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 or this or that, I'm like, listen, don't follow me. I don't know where I'm going.
I saw that on a bumper sticker. Don't follow me. I'm lost, too.
Onward through the fog, you know. But it's true.
However,
you know, I just made that up. No, just one moment at a time. That's why, you know, the present, it's a gift. And it is a joy to be here. I look at, you know, you could look at some outside things in my life and say, oh, this is rough or that's rough or da-da-da, but it isn't. You know, I am so very blessed. You know, even the things that are uncomfortable are a blessing.
Absolutely, because they're an opportunity to grow. They're an opportunity to work your way through that. It's kind of like the butterfly trying to come out of the chrysalis. As he fights his way out, he becomes stronger. And the baby chick coming out of the egg, same thing. And so our difficulties, and I'm saying that with air quotes, make us stronger and more resilient and able to fly higher. And guess what? We're down to 2 minutes.
I tell you what, we know how to talk. That's one thing that we are really good at, Ilea.
For those of you who are following the other broadcast on Look Who's Talking Vision, coming up we will have an interview with Mike, who has moved to Thailand and is now teaching school there, and so he's going to share his experience of how he went from driving truck to living in paradise. And on Sunday, we have an interview coming up with Linda, who lives in Oregon, and she is in the process of moving to Thailand. And so she and I do a lot of web surfing and learning about the things that it takes to be an expat and also to be a baby boomer and living in another country, because there are some steps that need to take place before you can sort of pick up everything and go live in another country. There's considerations, and so we cover some of those things. So tune in, and thank you, Susan. Have a wonderful show this weekend. Everybody go by and see Susan at the Emerald Spiral Show. Address really quick, Susan?
Yes, Emerald Spiral Expo at the Kent Commons in Kent, Washington. Open to the public, free admission, free parking, free speakers. It will be from 9 to 5. This Saturday, come on out. We're going to have a great time. We have a snack bar. We have all kinds of incredible people, and we are completely full.
All right. I wish I was there. I would definitely. I miss those. We don't have those here in Hawaii, so I miss getting to go to those. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Please friend us on Facebook, and you can also view these on YouTube. There's usually a delay, a little bit, but it does end up there, and it is also on iTunes. Just search for Ilea Leyland, that's ALAIALEIGHLAND, iTunes on Google, and you will find it. And please leave a review. It helps iTunes to bump us closer to the top so that when people are searching for an enchanted life, they will find this program. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and aloha from the Big Island of Hawaii.